Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about piracy and streaming. Now, if you're like me, you're old enough to remember like the little rabbit ears you used to have on top of your TV or the giant, huge house antenna that would be connected to the side of your house and have a cable running in to your house so that you could actually pick up maybe a handful of channels. It was basically broadcasted across the airwaves. There was no cable, there was no satellite. It was just sent across the airwaves. Now, after that, you had cable, which was great. It was glorious how many new channels that came with that. And that's where I got my first taste of anime with Cartoon Network and Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon. I mean, it was, to me, it was the glory days. That's when Cartoon Network was great. I think it was Toonami, I think that's what it was. Like, today on Dragon Ball Z, you had the narrator come on. It was great, right? Then satellite came along. All of this was great. You had a shit ton of channels available to you, but the problem was it was getting more and more costly. Then Netflix popped up. Now, Netflix was initially just what? A DVD service. You wanted to rent DVDs, you wanted to rent a movie or something. You didn't need to go to Blockbuster. You didn't need to go to your local video store. You could just hop on to Netflix and they'll send you the DVD that you want to watch and then through the mail, and then you have to mail it back to them. That's where it started out. Then they started the whole streaming service. Instead of doing DVDs, well, if you wanted to watch a movie, it could be broadcasted directly to your computer or to your TV, and you could watch it without having to wait for it to come through the mail. Netflix was getting so big and they had so many IPs on their website. It was great. It was glorious. People started thinking, hey, why am I paying DirecTV? Let's cut this cable and we can actually watch what we want to watch on Netflix for like $12 a month. It's so much cheaper. And then everybody else was like, oh my God, I need to get in on this. I need my piece of the pie. So Disney, HBO, all these different services, started coming up with their own, like I think even Apple with Apple TV, you have NBC with Peacock. They all started coming up with their own streaming service. Now that we have all these different streaming services, I have to pay $12 to Netflix, $12 to Disney, $12 to Peacock, $12 to HBO, $12 to Amazon Prime. Don't forget Amazon Prime. Now, I don't know what the exact cost is, but you get my point. You have to pay a subscription service to all these different platforms to get to watch whatever it is you may want to watch. And most of the time, each platform may have one TV show or one movie that you want to watch, and you don't want to pay for the entirety of their platform because you don't want to watch all the crap they have on there. It's just one thing most of the time. And that's what Netflix was so great for, because they had all of the IPs on there through licensing deals. So I know for a fact a lot of people have decided that with the current streaming setup, that piracy is the answer for them. The people in charge of these platforms who have all these different products that they want to sell to their customer, they're not providing a proper avenue for these consumers to get their product in a manner that is consumer friendly for them. It's we're going backwards now. Streaming services peaked, now it's starting to go backwards and backwards to the point where it's now just as costly for consumers to stream as it was for DirecTV and cable in the old days. So I saw this video talking about streaming was a mistake and piracy is the answer. Here's the thumbnail for this video. And I wanted to see what they had to say because I do think there is an argument to make that something's got to change, because I think more and more people are going to potentially start, pirating their content because of just how expensive things have gotten. Don't even get me started on how expensive DVDs are for anime nowadays. Holy shit, man. All right. I'm going to put this on 1.25. It already is. All right, let's go.
Comeback. No, not that kind. Video piracy. Remember when streaming was supposed to be the hero that killed piracy? Yeah, that didn't happen. And the reasons why are obvious. Subscription prices are
Piracy services, piracy did go down for a while. I think you could look at some of the data in the background. There was another video on this. I may pull that up and watch it too in another video of mine, by the way. But I do believe that piracy did go down for a while when streaming services first came out. A lot of people don't know how to pirate, or they don't really care to do it because it's not as easy sometimes for most non-technically advanced people. So if they can pay just $10, $12 a month to subscribe to one service and get everything they want for the most part, they're more than willing to do that. And initially, that's what streaming services were.
skyrocketing, shows are getting pulled from libraries, and exclusive content is being scattered across a dozen different services. Instead of making our lives easier, streaming has morphed into cable 2.0.
Yeah,
Expensive,
essentially.
fragmented, and frustrating. Want to watch Severance? You'll need Apple TV. Rewatch The Office? Well, it used to be on Netflix, but now you'll need Peacock. Sports? One game is on DAZN,
Yep.
another on Fubo. How are you even supposed to keep track
Don't
of
get me started on YouTube Live or live TV on YouTube. I mean, you could subscribe to the NFL package on there, and so you're supposed to get all the NFL games you want. But the way it works is the NFL started having certain games strictly on, say, Peacock or strictly on Amazon Prime or whatever. So you still may miss games because you don't have these other subscription services where you can go and watch the NFL game on these other platforms, unless you have other uh unsavory ways, I guess you could say, to go watch these games without having to pay on any particular platform.
where everything is. These days, finding that one specific movie you want to watch feels like a chore.
Yes,
You're gonna need
yes.
Google,
Oh my
maybe
God.
even a VPN, and while you're at it, may as well pull out your credit card because it's probably on a streaming service that you don't have.
Exactly.
Somehow, we've never had more entertainment available, yet we're constantly struggling to find and afford the stuff we actually want to watch. Piracy has once again become the most convenient option, but it doesn't have to be.
Not to mention, there are things on piracy websites that you can get that you would have to buy the DVD for because or the Blu-ray, because it is not available on any streaming service. Netflix, Peacock, Crunchyroll, whatever it is, whether it's anime or live action. There's a lot of movies that aren't available. So if you either pirate them or you buy the DVD, and a lot of times people are leaning more towards piracy nowadays. Shit's too expensive.
Look at music. They eventually figured it out. Imagine how stupid it would be if you could only listen to Kendrick Lamar on Spotify while Drake was exclusive to Apple Music.
Yeah.
Actually, given their beef, they might like that, so never mind. In the early 2000s, music piracy, fueled by sites like Napster and LimeWire, had the music industry in full-blown panic.
I remember
Piracy wasn't just winning because it was free, it was winning because it offered a superior service.
And it was easier for people to use. One place to get all of your music. That's exactly it. That's why Netflix was so successful when it first came out in the market.
Why would anyone bother going out to a store to buy a $10 CD just to hear that one song they liked?
Exactly.
Napster and LimeWire gave you exactly what you wanted. The music industry slowly came to terms with this being the future of music consumption, and in 2003, Apple launched the iTunes Music Store, selling digital downloads for 99.
And that helps because now you can go find whatever song you want without having to go and buy the entire DVD or CD. Not to mention, you can put it on something digital now and listen to just that one song and kind of go through essentially a digital version of what used to be called a mixtape. In the old days, you used to have to make your own mixtape on a cassette player, right? Nowadays, you don't need to. You can download it and put all your songs on shuffle without having to worry about it.
9 cents a song. For music lovers who weren't already pirating music, iTunes was incredible. It made music more accessible, arguably more affordable, and completely reshaped how we...
Let's not overlook, I want to say there was a huge lawsuit too regarding, was it Napster? I think it was. I mean, there was a huge lawsuit over pirated music. So, I mean, I think that also helped fix some of the issues with music being pirated. So, okay. So, see, I was right. The Napster lawsuit refers to a series of legal battles centered around the peer-to-peer file transfer service, Napster, particularly its role in facilitating unauthorized distribution of copyrighted materials. So, yeah, like I said, I think this had a lot to do with it because this got Napster shut down. If I'm recalling this correctly, Napster got shut down because of all these lawsuits. So, I think that also played a role in moving a lot of the people who used to pirate over to, say, Apple or Spotify. I mean, Spotify came a lot later, but over to like the Apple iTunes store. But it also helps that Apple came out with a service that was much better than what had previously existed. So it made that transition a lot easier.
It became clear that if you wanted to actually stop piracy, you simply had to provide a better alternative.
I would have thought that was obvious.
At the same time as the music industry was seeing this massive transformation, the internet was making video piracy a lot more accessible. Regulators' efforts to combat video piracy weren't working. They mostly relied on vague threats and public service announcements like this one.
You know how many people pirated these movies? Holy shit. You'd have these tools that you could copy not DVDs, but VHS to DVD or VHS to V. I mean, there were a lot of tools out there you could use to essentially pirate movies. I mean, it was a lot easier back then, but again, not everybody did this. Not everybody pirates. I do think more and more people today pirate because of how costly and difficult things are to actually watch and get a hold of. But back then, it was only a handful of people. I don't think I knew maybe more than one person who did this back in the day when I was growing up.
The only success that came from this PSA was an unintentional meme about downloading a car, which, let's be honest, we all would if we could.
You downloaded this vehicle.
Yes.
Well, that's stealing.
How's it stealing? I made an exact copy. I didn't steal anything from anyone.
You took potential profits from Toyota.
I wasn't going to buy a Hilux either way. They've lost no money. This hurts no one.
That's actually quite a good argument for online piracy.
I pirated this vehicle.
Netflix had begun pivoting from mailing out DVD rentals into becoming an internet streaming company. This was a real solution, combating piracy with convenience, much like
Yes.
Spotify did for music.
Yep, it did.
Why bother dealing with shady torrent sites, pop-up ads for who knows
And
what?
that's another thing. I mean, a lot of these places, people are afraid to go and deal with it because they don't want malware. They don't want viruses or anything like that. I mean, you'll see ads pop up like this all the time on some of these. Thank God for like Norton 360 and some of these, antivirus software. But it's a pain in the ass, and it's a lot more risky. And people with, it's a pain in the ass, and it's a lot more risky than what people are willing to kind of, risk and put up with.
And low-quality bootlegs when you could pay a few bucks a month for unlimited, high-quality content.
Exactly.
Of course,
The service met what the consumer wanted and needed. So therefore, people subscribed to these services and were happy.
piracy didn't disappear entirely, but illegally downloading content that was readily available on Netflix
You'll never fully get rid of piracy. There's always going to be people out there who aren't going to want to buy anything. They're cheap or they're broke, and it's, you're never going to fully get rid. It's like racism. In the 90s, I thought, in the early 2000s, racism was at its lowest ever, but you're never fully going to get rid of racism. There's always going to be racist individuals out there.
seemed kind of pointless. This was the streaming golden age. Netflix was on its way to becoming a central place for all
Oh,
your
yeah.
favorite movies and TV shows.
They cornered that
is,
market,
until
man.
competition arrived. Suddenly, your favorite movies and shows weren't all in one place anymore. Disney Plus, Hulu, Peacock, and a slew of
This is what is destroying streaming, and is what is destroying the well, not destroying, but allowing piracy to come back into play here and become a mainstream thing again. See, back in the day, it was just Hulu and Netflix. I subscribed to both. Then Hulu had to go change their shit. Things started disappearing on there, and then they started introducing ads. Like they always had ads. Like Netflix and Hulu would have ads on their stuff. That's how they helped pay for some of their platforms and their bills, right? But you could subscribe to them, and if you subscribe to them, you wouldn't get any ads. But then Hulu started doing this. I don't think Netflix has rolled this out yet. I know they talked about it, and if they have, then I haven't noticed it. Maybe they have, but I know Hulu for certain has done this. What Hulu ended up doing was they had like tiers, and even if you paid for one of the tiers that removed all the ads, they would straight up tell you that this is not going to remove every single ad, because they would pay for a license to be able to have someone else's IP on their platform. But I guess whatever deal they had, it didn't allow you to watch it with no ads, regardless of your subscription level. So you could watch something on there, and you could be paying for the no ad service, and you still have to watch ads. That pissed me the fuck off so much, to the point where I canceled any of my Hulu subscriptions at that point. Don't got them anymore. I'm like, I'm paying you to watch your shit ad free, and you're still giving me ads. Why am I paying you? Bye-bye.
Unlike Spotify and Apple Music, which offer virtually the same music libraries, video streaming took a completely different turn. Content on one platform cannot coexist somewhere else. We were apparently all naive to assume that it could.
That's
streaming services-
that's me, not you, stupid Windows update.
Have now made it clear that nothing is permanent. Warner Brothers Discovery pulled Westworld and a bunch of other HBO
This
shows.
is another big deal. Like I said, there's times where you can't even find what you want on these streaming services, hence why people turn towards piracy.
HBO Max to avoid paying residuals. Disney Plus has been caught removing original films and series without warning.
Yep.
And Netflix is notorious for constantly rotating its library, making it impossible to rely on the service for long-term access to anything. Even digital purchases aren't safe anymore. Amazon has been caught deleting or restricting access to movies that customers had actually bought. So let me get this straight. You pay for
I will not buy anything digital. No, it's going to be physical. And if it is digital, it's going to be something I can download myself onto my computer, put it on my Plex server. That way I always have it. It's always available. And if it's not available, guess who's to blame? Me. And I can fix it. I don't have to depend on someone else.
a streaming service, you get emotionally invested in a show, and then one day it vanishes without a
Oh, yeah.
trace.
Mhm.
And the only surefire way to watch it whenever you want is to download it illegally? Yeah, that'll definitely kill piracy.
Exactly.
While the streaming wars began as a battle royale for content supremacy, licensing disputes and complex streaming contracts have soured the entire industry. Like, why could Disney Plus subscribers in the US watch The Bear, while those in Australia couldn't?
Yeah,
These kinds of
the whole region locking thing really annoys the shit out of me, and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If you have the rights to something, why not just have it on your platform? Why do you region lock it? Why do you make it where I can watch something in the UK but I can't in the US? Like my oldest kid, before he went off to college, he I set a VPN up on his phone for him so that he could log in and pretend he's like from some other country so he could watch a TV show on Netflix because here in the US it wasn't available. I'm like, what type of bullshit is this?
headaches are a big part of why streaming companies have morphed into becoming their own production studios. Netflix originals like Squid Game should, in
Never watched
theory,
it.
be
Never
available
cared to.
forever and accessible everywhere. This evolution of streaming companies producing their own content means you're no longer subscribing to the platform with the best catalog of acquisitions. You're essentially investing into a single studio that's hopefully producing something good. Netflix is planning to drop a staggering $18 billion on content in 2025 alone, with the lion's share going to original.
Well, the problem is they're forced to do this. Now that everybody's opened up their own streaming service, what Netflix was doing to begin with, that once they went to the streaming, product, they can't do anymore. They were dependent on everybody else's IP being on their streaming service, which is why they got so large to begin with. Now that everybody else has got their own streaming service, they can't do that. They have to make their own product.
Originals, like finally delivering the last
And unfortunately, it's been with very much mixed results.
season of Stranger Things, even if the years of delays make it hard for the actors to still pass as kids, but whatever.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
At some point,
What?
Netflix and its rivals
Is
will
that
start
where
seeing
that's
diminishing
from? Is that where that meme is from? Holy shit.
returns on their massive spending on original content and on what they can reasonably charge subscribers. If Netflix decided to spend $100 billion on new content, would you be willing to shell out $200 a month for it?
No.
Probably not. There's only so much content we can consume, and it's not like every original is a hit. The few must-watch movies and shows remain scattered across too many different platforms.
Exactly.
According to Deloitte's Digital Media Trends report, the average US streaming video subscriber pays for 4 services, adding up to a hefty $69 per month. That's insane.
And this is, I'm assuming this, I don't know if this includes like anime or not. I mean, we got Crunchyroll, High Dive, Netflix, Amazon Prime. That's 4 right there. That's all I can think of off the top of my head that I've subscribed to. And I hate doing that. I really do. I mean, I'm potentially going to get rid of High Dive. Look, the only reason I have Crunchyroll is just for ease of use, honestly. Even though I despise Crunchyroll. Netflix, only because of my kids, honestly.
And almost certainly unsustainable, considering that over 50% of Gen Z and millennials surveyed had canceled at least one paid streaming service in the last 6 months. Because streaming has become so expensive, we're going to start seeing more people picking a streaming service like they pick a sports team, crossing their fingers that the new releases will...
In the old days, streaming was so cheap. Netflix was so cheap, man. And then, you saw this with Disney Plus too. They came out initially and were so cheap. They were operating at a loss because they wanted to try to pull as many people in as possible. And they've been slowly, constantly increasing their prices. Netflix is doing the same thing. All these streaming services are going to increase their costs because here's the problem. They're not getting the customer base that they need to be able to keep their costs low. So they have to milk the customer base that they have. Netflix, the reason they're increasing their costs is because they're constantly dumping, as you just saw a second ago, billions of dollars into original content. Some of it works, some of it does not. And well, they have to recoup their costs somewhere.
will be good enough to justify sticking with it.
Why?
Well, support the team.
Oh, Seinfeld,
Sure,
such a
you
classic.
could drop Netflix after binging Inventing Anna just so you could afford to subscribe to Apple TV for Ted Lasso, but are you really going to go through that hassle every
Yeah, it's a
single month?
hassle. That is
That's
such a
incredibly
hassle.
annoying. The reality is, if you can't afford to subscribe to both, your options are to either pirate Ted Lasso or just never watch it. Neither option is a win for the consumer.
Or
Unfortunately, it's
pirate both. That's an option he didn't mention, but that is an option.
not just the fractured nature of exclusive content that's the problem. It's that streaming companies now have absolute control over everything. They get to call all the shots, from what gets greenlit and the budget to how it's released. Warner Brothers famously killed Batgirl, even though it was already filmed, and they had already sunk $90 million into it.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why they look. If they felt like they could make something off of that without it doing further harm to the IP and to their studios, they would have released it. Trust me, they wanted to recoup some of that money, but it was probably better for them to use it as like a tax write-off than to put it out there and essentially lose all of that money. I'm sorry. Look, that's just the way it is. They needed to make it better, and they didn't. I'm saying I understand why they didn't. release it. But at the same time, it's their fault for making it the way they did to the point where they felt like they couldn't release it. They should have made a better movie. That way they could have released it, recouped their money, and hopefully made even more money. Not to mention I wasn't big on their whole casting choices there anyway.
Why? Purely for a tax write-off. I'm sure their fans really love that. And have you noticed how those genuinely hilarious R-rated comedy films that define the 2000s aren't being made anymore?
Yeah, they're not.
It's not because people don't want them, it's because streaming companies aren't interested in making them. Whether it's due to the relentless competition or Wall Street's insatiable hunger for growth, Netflix, once the golden child of video streaming, has steadily become less.
There is an audience out there. The reason you don't see a lot of those movies like he just talked about, the Hungover, American Pie, stuff like that, is it's not because they don't want, well, it is because they don't want it. It's not because there's not an audience for it. It's because they look, those things are very edgy. They're very offensive, very joke heavy, like Austin Powers, for example. You know, people love that stuff. But there's a lot of Karens out there that don't. They find it very offensive. They're like, oh, I can't believe you just said that. Oh, I can't believe you just joked about. Do you not know how serious this is? This is a serious, very serious matter, sir. Why do you joke? Why are you calling people gay? That is so offensive. Why are you using the F word? Right? Why are you using the R word? Oh my God, guys, what are you doing? There's a lot of Karens out there that act like that in HR or in top executives of these companies like Netflix, Warner Brothers, you know, NBC. So they don't want to make things like that. They don't. Like I said, that's an issue. But then on top of that, a lot of people are wanting that $1 billion hit because they don't want to take a chance that they either break even or lose money because it looks bad.
Less consumer friendly. For years, Netflix practically encouraged password sharing. It was part of their brand identity.
Yeah.
Love is sharing a password. They tweeted that in 2017. In a complete reversal, they declared war on account sharing in 2023, forcing users to either pay extra for additional profiles or risk.
But I think, didn't they change? Well, they came out really hard on it, but then didn't they roll it back slightly where they said if you're living in the same house, then you can share an account? Something like that. I think that was their final stance on that. But initially, I want to say they came out where they were like hard no on it.
Getting locked out. Other streaming platforms quickly followed suit. This wasn't
I
about
could be wrong.
security or fairness, it was a blatant attempt to squeeze more money out of subscribers. To add insult to injury, Bezos, who has enough money to take joyrides to space, began forcing ads on Prime Video users even though they're already paying for the service.
Yes.
And predictably,
And see, that's the shit Hulu was doing that pissed me the fuck off. Why would I subscribe to your service so that I can get an ad-free experience if you're just going to put ads in front of my face here? Because look at this. Choose your plan. What does that say? Premium, no ads. This is what a lot of these platforms will say in their tiered section if you're looking to subscribe. But then they'll have like little things in their terms of service or details, little footnotes that will tell you you're still going to get ads because they want that money.
many other streaming companies, including Netflix, have jumped on the bandwagon, offering ad-supported tiers that cost about the same as what you were paying already. This kind of blatant corporate greed is exactly what drives people to look for alternatives. And when all streaming services are doing the same thing, the only alternative is piracy.
Well, pirating is stealing. We didn't steal it, okay? We just downloaded it.
No, the website is called moviepirate.com.
And the other one is called free movies / arr.
I'm starting to see a little bit of a pattern here because I also use one called stolenmovies.free.
I need to watch that TV show. I got it downloaded, but I need to watch it. I think that was what, Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
In recent years, Netflix has become increasingly concerned about how easily people can avoid paying for their service. In the competition section of Netflix 2024 annual review, piracy gets mentioned several times. Back when Netflix first launched, its on-demand streaming experience had a major advantage over most pirate sites. The most common way to pirate something was with torrents, which required at least some technical know-how, and you had to wait for the content to download.
Yep.
Today, most pirate sites offer on-demand streaming with a user experience
Really?
that's virtually identical to Netflix,
Really?
but with more content
Name them. Put them out there. Holy shit, I didn't know this.
and no subscription fee. Netflix piracy concerns are valid. They are losing billions of dollars, but it's not like the company is anywhere close to collapsing. In fact, despite doing everything in their power to piss off their own customers, like raising prices, introducing ads, and cracking down on password sharing, 2024 was one of their best years. It seems people have a surprising
Interesting.
amount of loyalty to Netflix.
I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that, one, they were first in the market. Two, brand and name recognition. 3, their site and services are extremely easy to use. And they do have a lot of old content on there that people like.
Netflix, even if the value proposition isn't always great. Subscriptions are incredibly sticky. Once you sign up for one, you're likely to
Sometimes
stay
it's hard to get
subscribed.
out. Yep.
If Netflix was actually
Or
suffering
you forget about
considerably
it.
from piracy, then they would be much more aggressive in trying to shut down these illicit sites, but even then, new ones will inevitably pop up to take their place, so it's not really a long-term solution. If consolidation of streaming...
Does Netflix really want to stop piracy nowadays? Like, maybe in the past they were big on it, but do they want to now? Who does piracy hurt more now than before? I mean, so many people subscribe to Netflix already. So if you're pirating, you're most likely not pirating something you can get off of Netflix. You're pirating something you get off of these other sites, which keeps you from having to subscribe to these other sites. And guess what? These other sites are their competition. So is Netflix really wanting to stop piracy, or are they kind of happy to sit back and let some of it happen because they know it's technically hurting their competition more than it hurts them? I'm inclined to think that that may be the stance they're taking, at least privately behind the scenes.
services isn't going to happen, then Netflix's only real path forward is to continue making high-quality exclusive content at a price point that makes people happy to pay for it. Judging by their recent growth in membership, it seems to be working for them, at least for now. The same can't be said for some of the other streaming companies.
Yes.
Ideally, we shouldn't be advocating for piracy because content isn't free to produce, so it shouldn't be free to consume either. However, in the
I agree. They need to provide a better method of putting this product out there to the consumer that's more consumer friendly. Love the TV show, even though he's a freaking douche nowadays. That's The Reacher. If I'm not mistaken. Boy, she was hot in that movie. Nice set of tatas in that shower scene. Anyway, with that said, sorry, I got a little distracted here. They need to produce a product in a method that is easier for consumers to use. It's very consumer friendly. For example, a while back, there was, I can't remember the name of the product, but Crunchyroll, Funimation, and a couple other streaming services from an anime perspective got together and created a singular streaming platform that they all put a lot of their IP on. Maybe not all of it, but a lot of their more popular IP so that people could subscribe to that and actually, access and stream a lot of content from all these different streaming providers. I think Rooster Teeth was one of them as well. I can't remember all of the other ones, but I subscribed to it. I loved it. I thought it was great. And that's what a lot of these companies need to do. Stop trying to have your own pie. Just be part of the pie, right? License your stuff out. You still make money off of that. And if you want to take a little bit off the top, maybe you can do something with an agreement with Netflix or something, but you need to have it to where there's one storefront that people can go to stream essentially anything and everything they want to watch. That way it's ease of use, and you could even increase the cost of the subscription a little bit, because at that point customers only need one subscription, only one. And that would probably help a lot with this whole piracy issue, because they don't need to feel like they got to pirate to find what they want to watch. They can just go to Netflix, for example, and say, okay, Netflix has what I want, because I don't have to worry about the whole Peacock or Crunchyroll, or maybe not for anime. Let's just stick to IRL stuff. You got Peacock, Warner Brothers, Apple, Disney. They all of that product, all of that content is on Netflix now, right? And so people would be happy to pay Netflix so that they can, watch all that content.
Current streaming landscape, even with an abundance of high-quality content, having to subscribe to multiple services at once just doesn't make a lot of sense. Piracy isn't going away. In fact, it will only intensify.
I think it's going to get worse.
Harder, driving consumers towards the very alternatives they claim to fight.
The more expensive it is and the harder it is for people to watch what they want to watch, they will more likely than not turn to pirating. It's just the way it is. Not to mention that more and more of your younger generation is becoming more and more tech savvy. So guess what that means? More and more people are going to be more capable of pirating stuff than they were before.
The truth is simple. People don't pirate because they want to steal. They pirate because they're forced to, by inconvenience, outrageous prices, or content scarcity.
Exactly.
And right now, streaming offers us all three. If these companies truly want to stop piracy, then they need to look in the mirror, because they're the ones causing it. So until they choose to fix the broken system that they themselves have created, it's a pirate's life for me.
Yep, I agree completely. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. So, good video.
You're not going to be able to find this information.
What was that? Let me go back.
Piracy.
All right. I agree 100%. I think piracy, went down there for a while when Netflix first came out, and it was like the primary streaming service. But now that things have gotten the way they have gotten, piracy is just going to continue to increase again. You know, scarcity, difficultiness of being able to watch something, you know, prices, the constant pushing of ads, even though you're in a paid tier service. I think all of these things combined to create the perfect storm to where people are going to continue, and it's going to increase the more and more people become knowledgeable on the how to, but you're going to get more and more people pirating. And so I don't think there's a way around it. But you know, it's a good video. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Don't out yourselves. I don't know if there's from a legal issue if you're going to get in trouble. So don't out yourselves if you do. I know some of you probably already do. But let me know what your thoughts on pirating. Is that going to continue to rise? Is it good? Is it bad? What does the industry need to do about it? And yeah, don't forget, we are trying to build a community. So there should be a Discord link in the description of this video. So feel free to join the Discord. It is an open invitation. Anybody who enjoys my videos, we would love to see you there. Talk about games, animes, or just whatever general topic you may want to talk about. All we want for you to do is just be nice. Don't insult people. You can come hang out, and you know, we'd love to see you there. I live stream. I try to live stream 4 times a week. Sometimes the schedule works out to where I don't, but I do live stream quite often. So feel free to come by, check those out as well as we play video games. Right now, I'm currently playing Dark Souls 2, Stellar Blade, and I cannot wait for Wu Chain Fallen Feathers to come out. I am definitely looking forward to that one. So I hope to see you guys both in Discord and on the live streams. Hit the thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe to my channel for more awesome Southern neckbeard content, whatever you want to call it. And I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.